Have you ever been watching monks on their morning alms rounds and had a thought that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction? Like, could this exact ancient ritual have happened on another planet, in a totally different galaxy? It is a wild question, I know, but it's one that ancient Buddhist texts might, have an answer for.
Okay, so let's really dive into this. This isn't just some modern what-if scenario. The whole idea of other worlds and traveling between them is actually woven deep into the fabric of Buddhist cosmology. So to get to our answer, we first need a map of this ancient cosmos.
So first things first, we've got to establish the destinations. I mean, does Buddhist cosmology even allow for other worlds to exist? Well, the answer is a huge, resounding yes, and on a scale that is truly mind-boggling.
The core concept here is something called the Loka Dhatu. You can think of it as a world system, kind of like a universe or even a galaxy. The big takeaway is that our world, our solar system, it isn't special or central. It's just one tiny island in a vast populated cosmic ocean.
And just how vast are we talking? Well, some texts throw out a number that is just staggering. 100,000 Koti universes. Now, a Koti is 10 million. So, yeah, we're talking about a trillion world systems. An area so immense that the Buddha's wisdom was said to be able to reach it all. The scale is absolutely astronomical.
And this is where things get really cool. Check out this parallel. On one side, you have these ancient Buddhist ideas of infinite universes and countless world systems. And on the other, you have modern astronomy with its multiverse theory and the discovery of hundreds of billions of galaxies. It just shows how both ancient philosophy and modern science are trying to wrap their heads around the sheer, mind-bending immensity of it all.
Okay, so the destinations exist on this cosmic map. An almost infinite number of them, really. But that just brings us to the next massive question. How in the world could anyone travel between them? The answer, it turns out, doesn't involve spaceships, but something far more powerful.
Right, the key lies in a set of extraordinary abilities called the abhiññā, or the 6 higher knowledges, which are said to be attainable through incredibly deep meditation. Now, they range from things like reading minds to remembering all your past lives, but for our question, the big one is right there at the top. Idvividha. This is the power that specifically includes the ability to travel through space, phase through solid objects, and journey to other cosmic realms.
And get this, the texts describe this travel as something almost beyond our comprehension. It's not a journey that takes time, it's instantaneous. This passage here compares a trip to a high celestial world as being as quick as a strong person just stretching out their arm. It's a kind of travel that completely transcends our ideas of speed and distance. So, we have the places, we have the method of travel, but is there any proof? Did anyone actually use these abilities to make these journeys? Well, turns out the scriptures are absolutely filled with stories of them, and each trip was undertaken for a very, very specific reason.
One of the most famous stories, which you can see depicted in this classic mural, is the Buddha's journey to the heavenly realm of Tavatimsa. He actually went there and spent 3 months teaching his mother, who had been reborn as a celestial being. He did it as an act of profound gratitude. You see, this wasn't a vacation, it was a mission of compassion.
There are also these really personal stories too. The Buddha's half-brother, Nanda, had become a monk, but he just could not stop thinking about his incredibly beautiful fiancée. So to help him overcome this attachment, the Buddha took him on a quick trip to a heavenly realm. He showed him celestial beings of even greater beauty, which ironically helped Nanda realize how fleeting all worldly beauty is, and that helped him focus on his practice.
And then there's this, one of the most spectacular events described, called the opening of the worlds. When the Buddha returned from that trip to heaven, he performed a miracle that literally made all the realms, from the lowest hells to the highest heavens, visible to one another, all at the same time. For just a moment, the entire multiverse was laid bare for everyone to see.
And the Buddha's travels weren't just limited to heavenly realms either. He also journeyed to the highest Brahma worlds to correct the views of incredibly powerful beings. In one famous case, he visited a deity named Baka Brahma, who had developed a bit of an ego and had started believing he was the eternal, all-powerful creator. The Buddha went there specifically to challenge that view and demonstrate a deeper reality.
So, let's just take a breath and recap. We have the places, a vast multiverse. We have the means, these extraordinary powers of travel. And we have the evidence, multiple documented journeys. This brings us right back to our original question. But this time, we are fully equipped to answer it.
So after all of this whole exploration of cosmology and magical powers and interdimensional travel, what's the verdict? Did the Buddhist disciples ever actually go on alms rounds to other planets or other worlds?
And here is the crucial point. While all the evidence shows that inner realm travel was considered real, the purpose was never about getting physical food like in an alms round. Every single journey we see had one goal and one goal only: to teach. It was all about offering the Dhammadana, which is the gift of the teachings, to help end suffering wherever it was found.
So no, they didn't go looking for a meal, because they were on a mission that was so much grander. It was a universal mission to spread wisdom and compassion across all of those countless world systems. The goal wasn't to feed their own bodies, but to feed the spirit of all beings in every single corner of this vast, interconnected cosmos.
And that kind of leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. If these ancient texts describe a universe that is, for all intents and purposes, without end, filled with countless beings in countless worlds, then it's also presenting a vision of compassion that has no boundaries. It really makes you ask the question, if the cosmos is infinite, where then does compassion end?